and welcome to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast. My name is Jesse, and I'll be your host. Now, on today's episode, we're going to go over what I watched in the month of December. So, I know this has been a crazy year for everybody, but I hope generally you all have had a good time, on the holidays. Maybe you've been able to spend time with your family or loved ones, or who knows, maybe some people don't like the holidays, but hopefully you've been able to find some sort of peace, enjoyment, whatever it is, I don't know. But we're now in 2026, so whole new year, new me has wants to say. I don't know. I don't really know about that, but we'll see. Anyway, but I watched a bunch of things this month. Really, I was following a little bit of the advent calendar that the horror queers had, where they were doing every other day. They were doing a movie that you should watch, and I did a few of those, and then I kind of fell off of it, honestly. But I did end up watching some horror movies. I had a whole New Year's Eve-thon, which was fun. So you'll hear more about that. But let's get started. So on the first of the month, I decided to pull up on a little movie for the category of snowstorm. So obviously the movie has to have a snowstorm in it. And I pulled up on Wind Chill from 2007. So this movie has Emily Blunt in it. She's like the star of it. This is after her being in like The Devil Wears Prada, and has Martin Donovan in there. But this is about two college students. They share a ride home. They are in Delaware, and they're going down to like somewhere in, I don't even remember, but they share a ride home. When they break down on a deserted stretch of road, they're preyed upon by like ghosts of people who have died on this like long stretch of road. And for me, I didn't particularly like this. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. I think it was on Netflix or something like that. So, I mean, if you're somebody who is maybe interested in Emily Blunt, I know she's then gone on to have like a career, obviously, in like freaking, I don't know, like she was in like, wasn't she just in Oppenheimer? Am I confusing her the wrong person? I might be, but I don't know if I am. She's also the person in like the Quiet Place movies, I think, right? So, she's had a fucking career now, man. I need to recheck myself. Wait a minute. Well, she was in Oppenheimer. Okay. And A Quiet Place. All right. I was all right. But anyway, yeah, I just think this movie wasn't that good in my opinion. So, but I guess if you're at all interested, you can pull up and see how you think about it. But I was kind of over it. It's kind of like Ghost Story. It's like an isolation movie. It's a little bit of a serial killer movie. So I don't know, but pull up on it if you feel like. The next thing I watched was actually for the category of mountain. So, of course, a mountain had to be a part of the story. And I decided to pull up on Troll Hunter. This is from the same guy who gave us The Autopsy of Jane Doe, which is a movie out there, and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and The Last Voyage of the Demeter, I believe, as well. But this is like a found footage movie. This is, I believe it is Danish or something like that, I believe, or something like that. I think they're speaking Danish and stuff like that in here. Norway, so that's not Denmark, but whatever. It's one of those places in Europe that has a different language, but it's not Germany, it's not any of those like Germanic places. It's like a little different, but anyway, either way, this is about a group of students who investigate these series of like what they think are bear killings, but what they find out is that there's much more dangerous things going on, and they are following this guy who is a hunter, and he actually turns out to be a troll hunter, hence the title of the movie. And for me, I ended up giving this a 3. I didn't dislike this movie. It's from 2010, and I didn't dislike it, but it was hard once I actually started watching it in the language, because I was watching a dub of it because that's what was on Tubi, and then I was like, ew, I don't like that. So instead I pulled up on the YouTube version, and I was able to watch it with the original language, and that was a little better for me, with the subtitles, because I was just like, I didn't like the dub personally. But anyway, but I thought this was fine. I don't know what it is, like, not that I'm not into found footage, but I'm also just like, it took me a minute to really get into this, or to not just want to come back, and like, I have a bad habit of like stopping something and then coming back to it sometimes. And I was doing that with this movie. So I do think it's cool, but it didn't like blow my mind off or anything like that. So I was just kind of like, I don't know. I did think it was good, but I wasn't like itching to rewatch watch it or anything, but I think if you're a found footage girl, you should definitely pick it up, and if you haven't already, and definitely watch it. The next thing I watched was not a horror movie, but I decided to finally pull up, and I don't remember where I watched this at, but I think it was on Criterion Channel. I decided to pull up On Garden State from 2004. So this is a Zach Braff movie. He is both in it and he directed it. This is about a guy named Andrew, played by Zach Braff, who goes back to his hometown in New Jersey, I believe. He lives in Los Angeles, and he's coming back for his funeral of his mother. And it kind of helps reconnect him with different people from his past. It kind of coincides with him deciding to stop taking his antidepressants. And he meets this girl, Sam, played by Natalie Portman. She's kind of opens up the possibility of just rekindling emotional attachments, confronting his psychologist father, and maybe starting a new life. I'm just reading all this from Letterboxd, as you may know. But yeah, so for me, this is very much, I did like this movie. I think I gave it a 3 out of 5. But I wasn't in love with it or anything. Definitely it's this is a movie that is right before the term Manic Pixie Dream Girl was coined in a way. And I think this is definitely one of those films that I think people do not like as much now, maybe, or whatever it is. But I do see what it was doing at the time, I guess. And I can understand why people who maybe watched it at the time or watched it when they were younger, in their early 20s or something, maybe really connected with it. But maybe they just don't connect with it as much now, perhaps. But I do think this is an interesting little movie. It's interesting to see someone like Zach Braff do something like this, because, again, he was known for comedy, really. And so this is a comedy, but it has a tinge of, something there and his own experience. And yeah, it's an interesting thing. And I thought that it was a fine movie. I don't think it was horribly it is dated a little differently though, but that's not what I'm focused on with this film. Natalie Portman does say the R slur 8 times in a string of it. It's a whole thing. But yeah, I just think Zach Braff did what he could, and he was obviously interested in this project. It was a very personal story to him, and I'm never going to begrudge somebody for having a personal story that they want to share and that they want to put into something, and I'm fine with that. I didn't end up watching, I feel like I remember this A Good Person movie, and I don't know if it's any good. I remember seeing the trailers for it, though, because it had Morgan Freeman and Florence Pugh in it, so I know he directed that as well, but I just don't know what I think about that. But anyway, that's Garden State for you. And it's actually on Hulu right now, too. So if you want to, pull up on that if you have Hulu. But yeah, so there's that. We're back into the Advent calendar. So I decided I wanted to pull up on a little something that had Krampus in it. So I did not go with Krampus itself because I've already seen Krampus. I decided to pull up on Mother Krampus from 2017. You may be wondering, what the hell is Mother Krampus, Jesse? And I'll tell you, it's so this is it's a British movie. And it's based off of the myth of Frau Perchta, who is a witch that comes on the 12 days of Christmas, who takes children. So it's not actually Krampus necessarily. I don't know if Frau Perchta. I don't know if it's I don't know if she's in the Krampus family. Is a Krampus a creature and is she part of that? I don't know. All I know is I gave this a 2 out of 5. I didn't particularly like this movie a ton. It's not very well done in my opinion. It's obviously a very low budget movie, and so I'm not going to begrudge somebody for, making a low budget movie, I guess. But this one just was not really that interesting to watch, to be honest. And it's kind of taking this idea of Frau Perchta and what a Krampus is, because they're not the same thing. They're two different myths, I think. So there's that. But I don't know. You could probably skip this one. I'm not going to lie. And, would you have believed that I would tell you, oh, yes, skip the low budget bad movie, I guess. But yeah, that's what I watched personally, because why not? The next thing I watched was actually also on Criterion Collection, and this was one I've been waiting to watch for a minute. I pulled up on one of the Todd Haynes movies because it was on there. He has a few of their on there right now, but I pulled up from Far From Heaven from 2002. This is the movie with good old Julianne Moore. You have Dennis Quaid playing her husband. You have Dennis Haysbert as a gardener, and Patricia Clarkson. You know, it's so pretty much, I mean, the log line is in 1950s Connecticut, a housewife played by Julianne Moore is upended by a marital crisis and mounting racial tensions in society. I put in my little review, I said, I too would also risk it all for Dennis Haysbert, which if you don't already know, that's the guy from the Allstate commercials, I believe. Like that's what people know him for now, but he's been an actor for many of years, including in this movie, but even before that. So I see you, girl. I see it. I also think Kathy, played by Julianne Moore, should have spit into Frank's face, honestly. And that's not because he left her for, you know, a spoiler alert. It's not because he left her for a young man. Okay. It's not because of that. It's because he's a shitty husband. He's awful. And he's also Dennis Quaid. Sorry. But like, you know, I'm just like, yeah. Anyway, I just think that's what he deserved because he is terrible, which I guess he's doing his job right because he's kind of supposed to be. Anyway, but yeah, I liked Far From Heaven though. I liked this. It was a 4 and a little heart from me, 4 out of 5. Yeah, I'm slowly but surely making my way through Todd Haynes, and I'm you know, I mean, of course, I loved Carol, and like I really enjoyed like May December, for example, and I pulled up on this and. Yeah, I mean he's doing good. You know, I've been liking some of the output I've watched of his. Like Velvet Goldmine was another one. So yeah, I'm still gonna do it. I'm still getting through. So yeah, but Far From Heaven was definitely worth a watch in my opinion. It never streams anywhere. That's the thing. And so it was nice to be able to finally pull up on that and to be able to see it. So yeah, definitely. I should definitely do like a Todd Haynes month or something. Maybe I will. I'll pull up on one of his. I've done the Superstar, the Karen Carpenter story, but I would like to pull up on one of his, you know, more bigger budget, not with dolls movies, I guess. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. The next thing I watched was a horror movie. It was part of the advent calendar for the horror queers, and it was for Skate. So it had to have a skate in it somewhere or someone with skating. So you could have watched like To Die For or something, I guess. But I pulled up on Curtains from 1983. This is a movie. It's a Canada exploitation movie, Canexploitation, if you will. It's about these actresses who are auditioning for this movie role at this mansion in the middle of nowhere during a snowstorm, and they're targeted by this mysterious masked murderer. It has a bunch of different people in it. It has like Samantha Eggar from The Brood. It also has like Lynn Griffin from Black Christmas, and also like who else was in there? Oh my God, there was somebody else that I'm trying to remember. It might have just been her that I remember, and then some of the other people. But again, this is a Canadian movie, so very, very Canadian people. But yeah, I think for me, like this is kind of one of those 80s horror films, and I ended up giving this a 3.5 out of 5. I think I oscillate between a 3 and a 3.5. I think this is definitely for anybody who likes 80s slashers, who maybe hasn't already checked it out. I definitely think you should check it out because it's a weird movie. It's very odd, but I do think it is an interesting movie. There is some good tension in there every so often, and I'm not mad at it. So yeah, and it does have like, you know, a pretty cool mask. There's a bit of a twist at the end, I guess. So I don't know. I think it would be an interesting watch for anybody who maybe hasn't seen it. So yeah, I would recommend it. The next thing I watched was actually for I'm not really it's slowly but surely happening, but I am trying to work my way through some of the Oscar winning pictures. So not the Oscar nominateds, but like the ones that won. And I have watched a few of those, but and I feel like I have another one on here that I maybe watched too. But I think with this one, yeah, so it's slowly but surely happening, but that's a lot. That's like 90 something movies to watch. So, you know, with already what I do anyway, like, you know, in terms of watching stuff. That'll slowly happen. But anyway, I pulled up on Wings from 1927. This is a movie where it is about two young men. One is rich and the other one is middle class. They are both in love with the same woman, played by Clara Bow, who's an old, well-known actress. This is also a silent movie too. They become U.S. Air Corps like fighter pilots, and eventually they are like these flying aces during World War I. And these are like devoted best friends. Their mutual love for this girl eventually threatens their bond. While this girl, who's Clara Bow, who's the love-struck lifelong next-door neighbor of one of them, pines away. So this movie is like freaking 2 hours and 20-something minutes or something like that. Like it's a good amount. But I will say I think this movie was really interesting. It was 3.5 for me out of 5. I said, gotta say, these air fights that they have in this movie are kind of thrilling. I was clutching my pearls, truly. Just some of the effects they were able to do back in 1927 with some of these planes and stuff, I think is really cool. And honestly, this is probably one of the silent films I've ever seen all the way through. I haven't watched that many. I've tried watching like Nosferatu, for example, but I'd never really get through that movie, honestly. And I really did ask, like, did it really need to be over 2 hours though? Do you know what I mean? Like, did it? But at the same time, I understand like this is an important movie just because it did win like the first ever Oscar, I believe. So it's like, I think it's a cool movie, and I would say anybody who might be interested in film history, who maybe cares about things like the Oscars or whatever, if you haven't already seen Wings, I would pull up on it and just let yourself be interested. And there's also a fun gay kiss in it too. So that's kind of fun. So anyway, the next thing I watched was also, I believe, for the advent calendar for horror queers. It was for Isolation. I decided to pull up on a movie I had not seen ever, but I've wanted to. Panic Room from 2002. This is a David Fincher movie. This is about a mother and daughter. They just moved into this New York brownstone, and the brownstone has a panic room in it. So it's Meg, played by Jodie Foster, Sarah, played by Kristen Stewart. They're pretty much like their house is being broken into by these 3 intruders, Burnham, Raoul, and Junior, one of whom is played by, oh my gosh, wait a minute. Who was that gentleman? I'm trying to remember before I look. Oh my God. It's Forrest Whitaker. I was wondering, I was like, wait, who was it? But it's Forrest Whitaker, Dwight Yoakam's the other one, and then also Jared Leto. So there's all that. But yeah, this is a film. But yeah, like they're breaking in, trying to take money from the previous owner that had the panic room and all that kind of shit. But yeah, it's just a really interesting little thriller movie, definitely. I liked it. I gave it a 4 and a little heart and a little 4 out of 5. I think this just shows that David Fincher definitely has an eye for film and how he likes to shoot, and it's definitely fun to kind of see him do other things. I mean, obviously he had already done 7 by this point, I believe, and then also like I think he was the one who did 7, right? Can you tell I'm like a super big David Fincher fan? Yes, he did 7. But I've only seen I saw Fight Club a while ago, like when I was a teenager or something, but I can't say I've seen a bunch of his stuff. I've only seen so many things. So yeah, but anyway, I love Gone Girl though. Oh my God, Gone Girl's so good. But anyway, but it's interesting to see what his style is with this. I think Jodie Foster and Kristen Stewart are great in this movie. Everybody is really good. So yeah, I think this is definitely worth a watch for those who may have not already seen it. So yes, definitely pull up on Panic Room. The next thing I watched was actually for also the advent calendar, and it was for the category of ski. So skiing had to be a part of this movie. I didn't just watch Frozen necessarily from 2010. Go pull up on the episode on that. But I decided to do a little slasher, I guess, from the 2000s. This is Shredder from Greg Hewson from 2001. So this is about this ski resort that's up in the Mount Rocky Summit. It's these people, it's this group of teenagers, quote unquote, that are being killed at this resort or whatever. And it's from this mysterious skier dressed in black and all this. This is a movie that has Scott Wagner in it, who he's Steve from Full House, for those who care. And then also he's the voice of Aladdin, not the singing voice, but the just regular voice. You also have Lindsay McKeon, who I think she was on, what the hell was she on? No, she was on Guiding Light, and she was also on One Tree Hill. So people may know her from those. But this is before One Tree Hill, of course. I feel like she did other stuff like that wasn't just Guiding Light, but I don't remember exactly. I did look up one of the people in this was like from... He is not really in anything anymore, but he lives in Iowa or something. He's like a Republican, like political person there, which is weird. But anyway. Oh, and then there's also Julia Wakel or something. She plays Pike, and she's supposedly a lesbian, but like not really. But she's like really cool in this movie, and I liked her. But anyway, yeah, Shredder. I didn't particularly love it. I mean, you know, it's funny. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5 and a little heart because, you know, is this movie good? No, probably not. I don't think it really is all that good. However, I do think it is kind of a fun little weird slasher. It's like a direct-to-video type slasher, you know what I mean? So if you know going in that this is probably going to be bullshit, but also like, I don't know, it could be an interesting time to just pull up on. And it's also something I don't see that often, which is snow horror. And, you know, there's only so many things you can kind of watch that are snow horror. So I think for slasher, at least we could pull up on this one. So yeah, that's what I would say. But yeah, Shredder, it's an interesting one. And then what else did I watch? Oh, because I covered it for the show Music Month. I pulled up on Spice World because I covered that right before. It was actually right before the holidays, so we had recorded it probably earlier in the month sometime. But yeah, I pulled up on Spice World because I do have the DVD of it. This is of course the Spice Girls movie, so this is about them, you know, doing fun adventures before they go to do a concert at Royal Albert Hall, you know, whatever. And for me, like, this movie is always going to be something that is like nostalgic for me. I was a fan of the Spice Girls, and I still am kind of a fan anyway. And so I just said like the Spice Girls can canonically speak alien, which is interesting. So that's fun. And then also, why would I watch the shit out of Spice Force 5? I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, I probably just would. Like, and this movie is just so like fun and silly and doesn't take itself too seriously, and I think is just something that, you know, if you're a fan of the Spice Girls, definitely just pulling up on it and, you know, reliving a childhood you may have had or whatever. I think it's just really fun. So yeah, I wanted to pull up on that one. Then for a while, I just wasn't watching a ton of movies. I was just, you know, I don't know. I was working. I was doing things. All right. This whole month has been kind of crazy in general. But yeah, but I decided to pull up on a film. It's also a Christmas type movie. And I saw it was covered on the Horror Queer. So I wanted to pull up on it. And it was P2 from 2007. Well, it's not from 19 something. But this is about a woman who's played by Rachel Nichols. And she's just a businesswoman. All right. And she finds herself locked in this parking garage with this unhinged security guard played by Wes Bentley. And yeah, shit goes down from there, man. But yeah, P2 is a really interesting movie. I think it was shot in Canada a bunch, and it was all done nights and everything like that. But I liked this movie. I gave it a 3.5 and a little heart. I think it is a great little holiday movie because it takes place right around the holidays. So it's definitely like kind of holiday Christmas horror, if you will. But I think this is a fun kind of cat and mouse sort of thing. I think Wes Bentley does a really good job in this movie playing this fucking weirdo. Rachel Nichols, I think that's her name. She does a really good job as kind of your girl that we're following, and also our final girl, if you will. I mean, she's the only girl really. But I thought she was really, really good in this. And yeah, it's just a really interesting story and fascinating. It's also from like Alexander Aja, like and Gregory Levasseur, I believe. Like they're the ones who helped produce it because I think they had known Frank Calhoun, who had done like the Maniac remake with Elijah Wood, a couple different things, but he had worked on High Tension before. He was actually in High Tension, funny enough, as an actor. But you know, he had come from that sort of Alexander Aja world and stuff. So it doesn't surprise me that this movie would, you know, but this is a different movie than what Alexander had put out there. By this point, this is right after, you know, Hills Have Eyes remake. This is after High Tension. So, you know, we're seeing a little something different, which I thought was cool. The next thing I watched was also a Christmas movie. I decided, and it's not like an annual watch for me or anything like that, but I do kind of like seeing this every so often. I pulled up on White Christmas from 1954. If you don't know what this is about two talented song and dance men who are played by Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby, respectively. They team up after they are in war to become one of the hottest acts in show business. And in time, they befriend and they become romantically involved with a sister act named the Haynes Sisters, and they are played by Rosemary Clooney and Vera Allen. So that's fun. This is from Michael Curtiz, he's the same guy who directed like Casablanca and Mildred Pierce and, a couple different things like that. So I really, of course I love Mildred Pierce. So, I want to pull up on this one. And I like this movie personally. I just said that I want Bob and Phil to tenderly kiss, because I also think that this movie, even though, yes, like they're both getting in relationships with these sisters or whatever, and the sisters are really fun too, but I also just think like this is just like about compulsive heteronormativity, you know what I mean? And I just wish that they could live their gay lives. It'd be really cute. But anyway, and I also hope the sisters can like find lesbian lovers or something, not be lesbian lovers together. That'd be weird. But I would just say like maybe they're lesbians and they'll find, their own partners or something. Who knows? I just like to make everything gay, honestly. But seriously, like this movie also, like, I want the men to kiss. So that's fine. But that's what I was watching. So White Christmas, obviously it's Christmas time, or it was Christmas time. So of course I'm going to pull up on that. And then, because this movie finally came out, and it'll be probably able to get released soon, I think I'm going to get a physical media of this as well, because I think I ordered it already. I pulled up on the In Search of Darkness documentary it's from 1995 to 1999. And this is celebrating and exploring the movies that kind of define this era, from like Scream's like genre-shattering impact to the J-horror kind of like emergence happening. There was a lot of different things going on, and this movie was a documentary. It has all different sorts of people in it. We have people from, Michael Rosenbaum, who's an urban legend, Rebecca Gayheart, you have Emily Bergel, a couple of different people who are in this film who are interviewed. And this is just a continuation of these In Search of Darkness series. They already have stuff from the 80s. They have like 3 different movies that cover movies from the 80s. And then they also have the In Search of Darkness from 1990 to 1994. And then this is the continuation of that, and it's the finale of that. And for me, at least, like I did put money behind this. Like I got the digital download for it, and, I will be getting the physical for this at some point. But I will say I gave this a 3 out of 5. And to be perfectly honest with you, I wasn't exactly like, astounded by this one, to be honest. I think that's kind of it with me and In Search of Darkness, perhaps. Obviously, because it's probably the last one that I would really want to pick up, perhaps. But I'm also just like, I don't know. But I do like some of these documentaries, though. A friend of the show, Rocco T. Thompson, also like did, I think it was the 3rd one of those, which was for the 80s. And so that's kind of cool. So you could definitely pull up on that. I think I have that physically somewhere too. But I just think like it is nice to see some of these movies that don't always get the attention that maybe they should get, which I loved seeing, like Demon Knight, Tales from the Hood, even like The Rage Carry 2, a couple of these different movies that I think are just fun to kind of look at and to be able to remember about. I think those are always nice to just try to give praise to in a way, or do something with. But overall, it's like I think I'm done with this series, and I'm cool with it. Just this is the finale of it, really, so that's cool with me. And then I kind of get into a Christmas spirit in a way for the rest of this month. So starting on Christmas Eve, I actually watched Female Trouble from 1974. This is kind of a Christmas movie a little bit. This is about a girl named Dawn Davenport, who's played by Divine, the drag queen. She progresses from a teenage nightmare, hell-bent on getting cha-cha heels for Christmas, she turns into this fame monster, quote unquote, whose egomaniacal impulses land her in the electric chair. And that's pretty much what this is. Nice girls don't wear cha-cha heels, but this movie is fucking great. I think it's a fantastic little film. I think I watch it pretty much every year around Christmas time, and it's just something that's really fun to watch. It was obviously shot in Baltimore because it's a John Waters movie. So yeah, that's what I ended up watching. And I gave it 5 stars because of course I would. But yeah, so pull up on Female Trouble. I don't know, like figure out a way to watch it. Okay. Like if you need to pull up on it on YouTube or something, go rent it, throw their money. It's worth your time in my opinion. But anyway, then another thing I watched was something I've never seen before in my entire life. And I pulled up on National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation from 1989 because wouldn't you believe it, I've never seen any of these movies. So this is about the Griswold family, which is headed up by Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo, I believe. And it's pretty much their family coming into town and, Christmas with the folks, am I right? Or that kind of thing. This has Juliette Lewis and Johnny Galecki in it as their children, and a couple other different people in this film. We have like Diane Ladd's here, Doris Roberts is here. We then have Julia Louis-Dreyfus, which is fun. We got the voice of Betty Boop up in here. That's fun. Yeah, so for me, I think like this movie, having never watched these before, and this is definitely a staple for a lot of people. I think for me, I gave it a 3 out of 5. I did not hate my watch of it. I don't know if I would necessarily watch this over and over again, or if I could maybe see watching this again, like in the holiday season. I don't mind that, but I'm also like, I could find other stuff to watch, I'm sure too. But I see what the appeal of this is. And I think a lot of people also have the nostalgia for this movie too. I just never had that. So, I'm watching it as a 30-something-year-old, but that's okay. Yeah, I didn't dislike my watch of it though. So I'll say that much. And then the next thing I watched that was also on Christmas Eve because I was just having a time. We had like a little dinner over at my house and, had family and all that, whatever, come over. But I ended up, because I actually rented it. I did not get it, unfortunately, for Christmas, but I will be getting it myself somehow. I don't know when. But I pulled up on one of my favorite little Christmas movies, Go, from 1999. This is a rewatch for me. If you don't already know what this is about, I've done a whole episode on this, but this is about 3 different stories that kind of intersect in different ways. One of whom is about a supermarket clerk who gets herself involved in a drug deal. We then have a guy who goes to Las Vegas and has a crazy ass night. And then we have these 2 soap opera actors who may or may not be a couple, and they get themselves into a weird drug sting thing going on, and there's a whole lot of shit that happens. But yeah, I gave this a 4 out of 5. I love this little movie. I think it is such a fun little Christmas movie in a way, and I like watching it around this time. So yeah, I thought, let me pull up on that. And the next thing I watched was actually on Christmas specifically, because I wasn't really doing that much on Christmas proper. A lot of what we were doing, like exchanging gifts and stuff, was on the Christmas Eve. So this one I actually watched, it's a new release, Strange Harvest from 2024. This is from the same guy who brought us, or one of the guys who brought us, the Grave Encounters movies. This is a found footage movie. This is about these detectives. It's a mockumentary. It's about these detectives who are kind of thrust into this search for a villain by the name of Mr. Shiny. He's a serial killer who is pretty much trying to, unlock this sort of crazy, dark, like cosmic force, if you will. And for me, this movie, I was looking forward to it because I was like, ooh, this could be interesting. And so I pulled up on it. And for me, at least, I just gave a little shrug emoji on Letterboxd, and I gave it a 3 out of 5. I don't think I hated it or anything, but I also feel like, I wasn't exactly like raving about it necessarily. This is kind of like if you've ever seen the Poughkeepsie Tapes a little bit, if you've ever seen that movie, this is just like a little bit toned down kind of, but like also still pretty graphic, I guess. And it's found footage, like I said. And I don't know, like it looks nice, but I don't know. I just don't know how much I cared about the story at some point. And I don't know if I see myself rewatching this anytime soon, but I will say I think it's worth a watch for the found footage people out there who like that sort of genre. And maybe if you're interested in like perhaps true crime or those kind of like ID channel shows or something, maybe this would be interesting for you. But I found myself, I didn't hate it, but I was also a little indifferent by it. You know what I mean? So there was that for me. So yeah, but it is on Hulu if you want to watch it. So, pull up if you feel like it. The next thing I watched was kind of a Christmas movie also, just very fucking odd, but I got the Blu-ray for this, is Eyes Wide Shut. This is a rewatch for me. This is from 1999. This is the last movie of Stanley Kubrick's. This is about Bill Harford, played by, I almost called Tony Curtis, Tom Cruise. So after Bill Harford's wife, Alice, played by Nicole Kidman, his real life wife in the time, she admits to having sexual fantasies about some man that she met. He becomes pretty much obsessed with having a sexual encounter outside of his marriage, and he discovers this sort of underground sexual group and attends this meeting of theirs, and he is in over his head after that. So this is a movie that I enjoy. I gave it a 4 and a little heart, and it's a 4 out of 5 for me. This movie is divisive for sure. It's definitely not your, quote, typical Stanley Kubrick type movie. I don't even know if there is like a typical one, but it definitely has some of the hallmarks I can think of when I've thought of his movies or if I think of his movies. But I will say that, I like Eyes Wide Shut personally, and I think I will probably end up doing it on the show at some point. But I think that this is an interesting rumination on just like the desires that women have, and also just like being married and like what happens in that, and just like it's an interesting little movie for sure. I think it is worth a watch if you're interested in that sort of like weird ass shit, honestly. Or just like this movie is seen as sort of this, it was touted as being like, oh my God, it's like a sexy movie. It's the sexiest movie of the decade or something, or whatever the fuck people were talking about it. But it's also unsexy too, which is really weird and interesting. But yeah, I think this is something that y'all should watch. Like if you have not already watched it, I think it'd be interesting. Even if you don't like Tom Cruise, like I don't like him either really, but I kind of like him in this because he's such a weenie. So there's that. The next thing I watched was also on Hulu as well. This is a newer release. It was from last year. And this is The Life of Chuck from 2024. Like I said, is a Mike Flanagan movie. This is about it's like a kind of, it's not an anthology, but it's like a 3-act movie starting from, I believe, Act 3, then goes Act 2 and Act 1. And this is about this man named Charles Chuck Krantz, played by Tom Hiddleston. He's played by Tom Hiddleston. He's also played by Benjamin Patrick, and then also Jacob Tremblay. But this is talking about like the love he's dealt with in his life, the heartbreak he's dealt with in his life, and just a lot of different stuff going on with him. This is a short story from Stephen King. So this is a film that, I don't know, for me, it had some really good actors. I liked some of the actors. You had like Mark Hamill and Mia Sara. You had, I think, Tom Hiddleston, like I said, he's in here a little bit. But then also like Matthew Lillard's here and like just a couple different people. And for me, I haven't read the book or anything. I haven't read the little short story or anything. I gave this a 3 out of 5 for myself. I think if you're at all interested in Mike Flanagan, and it's not a horror movie really, it's definitely like a surreal movie, I guess. It's kind of sci-fi-y, if you will, but also like it just has this like, I don't even know how I would describe it, but it's something where if you're interested in Mike Flanagan, which shout out Towson Tiger, I think like if anything, pull up on it if you like his movies to see if it's something you'd be interested in. But for me, I don't see myself watching this anytime soon, honestly. And I don't think I disliked it. I just, again, it's fine. It's very okay. So that would be my rousing depressing review of The Life of Chuck. But I'm glad I watched it, and it's finally on Hulu, so you can go watch it if you'd like. I didn't get to watch it this month because it just came out on Hulu, but I am going to watch Together, I think, the Dave Franco and Alison Brie movie. So I do want to watch that one coming up. But anyway, the next thing I watched was because I wanted to watch an old movie, I guess. So I just felt like it. And I decided to, because it was going to be leaving Criterion Channel, I wanted to pull up on it. And that was Gentlemen for Pure Blondes from 1953. This is a movie about these two, I guess, friends. One named Lorelei Lee, who is, I believe, that is Marilyn Monroe, I believe. Yes. And Jane Russell, who plays Dorothy. So Lorelei is this beautiful showgirl. She's engaged to be married to this guy, Gus Edmund, much to the disapproval of his father, who just think Lorelei is after his money pretty much. When Lorelei goes on a cruise accompanied by her friend Dorothy, the father hires this guy, Ernie Malone, a private detective, to follow her and to report any questionable behavior that may disqualify her from having this marriage. This is a Howard Hawks movie, so this is the same guy who did like His Girl Friday. He also did Bringing Up Baby, the original Scarface, stuff like that. So very well-known director. And for me, there's a lot of musical numbers in this movie. I thought this was a fun movie. I think I gave it a 3.5 and a little heart. I'm not the most like up on Marilyn Monroe's like filmography or anything like that. It's been forever, and I need to still watch like, you know, Some Like It Hot, for example. But I've watched like All About Eve and stuff. She's in that real quick. But I liked this movie, though. I think it's a fun film. This is where Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend comes from. So I do think this is worth a watch for anybody who might be interested. And I did always, not that I knew much about Jane Russell. I think she was a very pretty lady. I don't love her politics later in life, because she was like always a Republican. But I will say, like, Marilyn Monroe is pretty cool. I like her. Jane Mansfield I liked a little bit more, but I like Marilyn and Jane just enough. So yeah, but this is definitely worth a watch if maybe you're interested in watching an old movie. You don't mind a musical here and there. So that could be something interesting. And then the next thing I watched was actually a remake. This one was on HBO, and I think it was Leaving, so I wanted to watch it and make sure I watched it. And now I want to get it on physical media. I watched The Last House on the Left remake from 2009. I have previously seen this before, but it's just been many years. So yeah, this is pretty much a remake of the movie from the 70s from Wes Craven. It was his first movie ever. This is about a woman or a girl named Mary Collingwood, played by Sarah Paxton in this film. She goes out to hang out with her friend Paige in town, and pretty much what happens is shit goes down. They meet a band of criminals. There is some sexual assault in this movie, like a very graphic sexual assault, and also just like some horrible shit happens to Sarah Paxton. And then what ends up happening is that the people who did this to Mary, they end up at her parents' house, the last house on the left, I guess. And her parents are Tony Goldwyn and Monica Potter. But yeah, they find out about this, and they have to pretty much seek revenge for having their daughter almost left for dead. So that's pretty crazy. I did say in my little review, I said, I got to suspend my disbelief, because what do you mean that you let these people in your house? Like, what even? I don't know about that. But I still think this is a really good remake. I don't love the original a whole lot, to be honest. So I even own that original because I thought it was this movie, and I'm mad at myself. But this is on physical media from Arrow Video, though, so I want to pull up on it. Same people who did Jason X as well. Not the same people, but like Arrow Video did a Jason X release, and I got that one. So I kind of want to get the Last House on the Left remake and get that one as well. So I'll maybe wait for a sale or something. But anyway, either way. But yeah, no, I liked this movie. Please do not watch it if you are sensitive to like rape revenge movies or that kind of stuff, because this is definitely one of those. But I will say I liked this quite a bit. I thought everyone in it's really good. And it's a really interesting movie. And I'd be down for it. It makes me want to. I was sort of watching the I Spit on Your Grave remake. I was watching that one, and there's part of me that wants to go down the rabbit hole and watch those movies, like the remakes and stuff. because I do have a certain, I don't know if I'd say soft spot, but I do have an appreciation for the original film of that more than I do The Last House on the Left, I guess. And so I kind of want to go down a rabbit hole. So who knows? Maybe I'll watch those. But yeah, but those are not necessarily fun movies to watch or anything because, sexual assault, not fun. But anyway, so there's that. And then I decided to pull up and do a whole fucking marathon on New Year's Eve. Popped 2 gummies, and just went in for a ride. Okay. That's what I did. So I didn't, I think I took the gummy after, not this, I don't think I took it this time. I think I took it a little bit later. But anyway, the first thing I watched was The Substance from 2024, because it is a New Year's Eve movie. All right. For me, this is a movie that's a little longer than it needs to be, but I generally still like this film, and it could be a nice New Year's Eve watch. If you don't already know what this is about a fading celebrity played by Demi Moore who uses this black market drug. It's called The Substance. It's a cell replicating substance that makes a different, temporarily creates this younger, better version of herself, and shit goes crazy from there. This is nominated for an Oscar. Demi Moore almost won the Oscar for her portrayal, her performance in this. It did win an Oscar for makeup. It was, it was there. It was there. So, and I had the physical media. I actually got it for Christmas. So that was really nice. But yeah, so I watched that at 10 in the morning or whatever that was. Then I decided to pull up on kind of a very well-known film that I just haven't watched yet. I watched It Happened One Night. This is a film from 1934 from the same guy who brought us It's a Wonderful Life, Frank Capra. And this is about a runaway heiress played by Claudette Colbert. She makes a deal with this reporter who's played by Clark Gable, who's trailing her. But this mismatched pair ends up stuck with each other when their bus leaves them behind. And yeah, this movie, it was a fun little ride. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. This is such an influential movie for a lot of other films that came after it, and especially for its time, and it has such a legacy to it. So yeah, I wasn't I don't know. It wasn't I was interested in it, but again, 3.5 out of 5 for me. But I do understand that this was an influential film. It was an important film and all this, but yeah, I think I would probably return back to this at some point. And it's not a New Year's Eve movie or anything, but fuck it. Why not? I decided to watch it. The next thing I watched was Sunset Boulevard from 1950, the Billy Wilder movie. I watched 2 Billy Wilder movies back to back. This is about a hack screenwriter played by William Holden, who writes a screenplay for a former silent film star played by Gloria Swanson, who has faded into Hollywood obscurity, pretty much. So this is such a great film, in my opinion. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5, and a little heart. This is one of the best movies that I think is about Hollywood. It's meta a little bit, which is really fun, and it's also just doesn't paint Hollywood in the best light either. And I think it is such a good movie. I want to own this on physical really bad, so I'm going to try and get around to getting that. I need to get more storage space for my physical media, but once I do, I will definitely be pulling up and trying to get to Sunset Boulevard for sure. And the next thing I watched was another Billy Wilder movie from 1960. This is The Apartment. This is a Christmas and a New Year's Eve movie, I think. This is about Bud Baxter, C.C. Baxter, played by Jack Lemmon. He is a clerk at a huge New York insurance company. He discovers a way to kind of climb the corporate ladder, and he lends out his apartment to the executives at his place to take their mistresses, pretty much. And he has to always deal with sort of the aftermath of their different visits. But something happens with a nice young not telephone operator, a elevator operator played by Shirley MacLaine. And yeah, this is an iconic movie. It's a very well-known movie. This is a film that won Best Picture. It kind of launched the careers of Shirley MacLaine. Definitely just got people interested in more from her, from Billy Wilder a little bit, and I don't know. It's very interesting, and I love this little movie. I think it's a cool movie, and I don't know, good acting in it. It's just good all around, in my opinion. So yeah, I think I just said I love you, Fran, who is this character by Shirley MacLaine. But yeah, it's just if you have not already seen this movie, I think you definitely need to do yourself a favor and watch it and just see kind of where all the influences come in. And it's really fun to watch this with Mad Men and watching it as well, because this movie is just so influenced by that. And so I'm just like, it's fun to be able to revisit that. And yeah, this might end up being like a little every year watch or something like that. And just wanting to get other people to watch it. And then the last film I watched should be no surprise to anybody. This is the film 200 Cigarettes from 1999 by Risha Brayman Garcia. It's a period piece, takes place in 1981, New York City. And this is about a bunch of different people, a bunch of 20-somethings and 2 teenagers who are trying to cope with relationships, loneliness, desire, and their just individual neuroses on New Year's Eve. This is such a fun movie, in my opinion. I gave it a 4 and a little heart, 4 out of 5. Watching this high on New Year's Eve is the right vibe. I think so. Happy New Year's Eve, everybody. But yeah, I like this little movie. This is an early MTV movie. This is just something where it's a fun hangout movie. It's an ensemble film. And I just think like it is something to watch if you're at all interested. The soundtrack is like unmatched in my opinion. I think the soundtrack's really good, and I think it's such a good little film, and it's written and directed by women. Love that. And yeah, I think it is definitely a good way. And if you start it at 10:19 wherever you are, 10:18, 10:19, it will finish by midnight. So I would recommend everyone do that if they feel like it. But that is what I watched for December of 2025. So that's pretty much everything I watched. And haven't really been watching like any particular TV shows or anything like that. Nothing too insane, I don't think. I don't think I've been watching that much. I still need to finish. I need to finish up Living Single, and I need to finish up Mad Men, but I will be doing that at some point. So there's that. And yeah, but that's what I watched in the month of December. But I mean, what did you watch in the month of December? Did you watch a bunch of Christmas movies? Did you watch a bunch of comedies or horror, or what were you watching? Let me know if you want. What are you planning to watch this month? Like in January, we've got some things coming out. So, I don't really know. I'm taking the month of January off, as you may already know. So I'm not really going to be, I'll have to think of what I want to do for the podcast. I don't really know yet. So I'm going to have to think of that. But so we'll see what I want to kind of cover and what I also want to just pull up on in general and watch and put into my eyeballs. And then probably late to say this right now, but starting in February, we will do bi-weekly episodes. So I'm not doing weekly episodes any longer. If I already mentioned that, but just wanted to throw it in here too. But yeah, that's everything I watched. I want to hear from you all. Like, what did you watch? What are you going to be watching this month? So do you have any recommendations for me maybe to watch? Like I said, I already want to watch together. So at some point I'll get around to doing that. And then I want to watch some other stuff as well. I always have stuff on my fucking list and I never know when to watch it. So we'll get around to it. That's what these are for. But thank you all so much for taking the time to listen. I hope everyone has a good beginning of their year. We're going to do our best to get through this year, of course. Keep the people you love around you. Keep your loved ones around you. The ones that, really matter to you. And I think that's always really important. And yeah, just find joy as much as you can in life right now. Definitely. But yeah, with all that being said, thank you all for taking the time to listen to this What I Watched episode. I will catch you all on the next one next month, and have a good rest of your month. Take care, everyone. Bye.